Hey, what's going on, y'all? Eric Muldrow here with Code Red Conversations. Back again. Second video this week. Yes, we did Wednesday, we did Friday. But once again, thanks for joining me. Thanks for stepping into the Code Red studio so we can have a good conversation. We can chop it up about this topic here. I'm hoping everyone's had a good week so far. It's Friday, so I don't know if you're on the schedule where this is the end of your week and you have a couple of days off, or you might be working somewhere where this might be what you do. This might be your Monday, for all I know. Either way, I hope you guys have a blessed weekend regardless. But let's discuss this topic here today. Now, I know in this day and age that we're living in now, this is a quote unquote controversial topic. I don't understand how that is, how it is that that's a controversial topic to talk about fitness and people being overweight and obesity, but it is. Here we are. It is what it is. But so just at the outset, I'm not trying to embarrass anybody. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. But I want to be real. I want to be honest about the reality and the danger that is associated with a police officer who doesn't take care of himself or herself. So what got me on this topic? Well, anybody that knows me knows that I've always been pretty passionate about this topic. Those of y'all who knew me from my time as a CO at the county jail here in Vegas, or those of you who knew me on the streets, you knew that fitness, health, that's always been something that's passionate, a passionate topic for me. Even going back to pre-high school days, I've always been very physically active. Going back to high school, my time in the Army, especially those of y'all who knew me in the Army, fitness was like my life. That was something that I loved. So that's carried on throughout the later half of my life. I'm 51 years old. 52 is knocking on the door come March. And man, I'm feeling pretty dang good. Got medical issues like we all do, but I'm working around those. I'm putting in effort to make myself as healthy as possible. So what brought me to this issue in the first place is this right here. I'm going to show you this image. So I was on Instagram scrolling through LVMPD, Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's New Year's Eve photos on their Instagram page. Just scrolling through, looking, seeing what's going on. Because I remember those days being out there in the cold, working New Year's Eve, and it wasn't always fun. Some nights were cool, but it wasn't always fun. So I'm flipping through the pages and I come across this photo right here. Yeah, I come across this photo right here. Let me see if I can zoom in. And again, I blurred out the faces because I know one of the guys personally. And I'm not trying to make anyone embarrass anybody, but in particularly my man over here, giving the double thumbs up. I saw that and it just had me feeling some kind of way, to be honest with you. What's up, Dwayne? Thanks for stopping in, brother. As always, I appreciate you jumping in. Definitely. So I saw this image here, and man, it just got the juices flowing again, man. When I see this, honestly, I don't know if you see the full image of this officer. He doesn't look old. He looks like a relatively young man. And to see this as the image of what's out there on the strip that represents Metro, it really started bothering me again. And it reminded me of how vitally important physical fitness is for an officer, and how so many times it is pushed aside and there's such a low standard. Now, Metro does a physical evaluation. You have to do a physical, not PT test. You don't run, you don't do push-ups, you don't lift weights, you don't do anything physically demanding, but they do mandate that you do get a physical exam. They check your blood pressure, X-rays, stress test, echo or EKG, things like that. So they want to know that you're not out there just literally dying. But at the same time, there really isn't a high standard at all on the department. There is no physical fitness standard, a standard that says, hey, you're overweight, you need to do something about it. There's nothing like that whatsoever. Before I left, I retired on a I did a medical retirement because I was dealing with a lot of dizzy spells and a lot of things like that the last couple of years on the department. So I worked in surveillance and bunch of different departments that I couldn't stand other than the surveillance section. That was pretty cool. But I worked in a lot of crappy sections because they're just trying to pawn you off somewhere. But one thing that I did, I tried to start a physical fitness standard for the department. So I went through all the paperwork, had a deputy chief working with me, but time and time again, I ran into roadblocks. There was always something there to limit or to hinder any amount of progress that I could make. And it was very, very frustrating. The union would come against it. Officers would complain about the concept, the idea, which blew my mind to some degree, but at the same time, it didn't. Because being a training officer, defensive tactics instructor, firearms instructor, I understand that most cops are lazy. That's just how it is. Most cops are lazy when it comes to taking care of their body and maintaining a high level of physical fitness. So I'm hoping that during this time I'm with y'all today, there might be, for those of you out there, anyone out there who might be an aspiring law enforcement officer or an officer out there who has let themselves go physically and realizes that he has put himself and his partners and the citizens in a dangerous situation. I'm hoping that this show acts as a little nudge, a wake-up call to let you know that as long as you have life, as long as you've been blessed with life, that God has blessed you to be breathing still continually, there's hope, there's room, there's a time to make a change. There's an opportunity to change things. What you got there, Dwayne? It will save the lives of Leos in adding to the stamina, reaction time, strength to overcome and subdue a perp. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. And we're going to get into all those because when it's all said and done, I don't just want to be here criticizing. I want to offer some positive advice. What would I do if I was a current officer who was out of shape? I realized I was out of shape and I wanted to do something different. So we'll wrap up the show with that. But we're going to jump into some topics initially here to get this ball rolling. Pull up a very interesting article here. Excuse me. I'm going to pull up an interesting news story that I think y'all will appreciate. Hopefully nope, that's not it. There, I think there we go. And this was in my old feed. I found this I've pulled this up today, but it was something I came across that I had saved I think a few years ago. So let's watch this together and let's discuss this as we go. I'll see if I can make this full screen. All right.
At any point in any officer's career, they're going to need to use their fitness abilities at one point or another.
So where does that leave officers who are out of shape in the line of duty?
Well, experts say it not only puts the lives of the first responders at risk, but also impacts the safety of others.
Tonight, 7 investigator Simon Shaquette tells us why so many seem to be out of shape and what some agencies are doing about that.
of Detroit, first responders are being asked to physically do more than ever. And in facilities just like this, various agencies have encouraged that. But as you're about to see, many are still falling far behind. From the time recruits enter the police academy all the way through graduation, they're forced to meet rigorous fitness standards. But after they hit the streets, due to contractual obligations with unions, most local agencies don't require cops or other first responders to pass any type of regular physical test.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much universal. I think there are very few departments. Let me change that. I think there are very few departments that actually maintain a high, any kind of physical fitness standard. If you guys know of any, put it in the chat box or put it in the comments below. I'd love to know. But as far as I know, and I'm not saying I have full knowledge of every police agency and department, what their standards are, but I would say that the vast majority of police agencies, from the conversations I've had, from the research I've done, they have no standard. There's no standard whatsoever, which is utterly insane.
These images are of various police, fire, and EMS workers from multiple communities. Our cameras recently found numerous examples of those who appear overweight and out of shape.
My father died.
Wait a minute, appear? I think he's trying to be nice. Back that up a little bit.
Those who appear overweight.
Yeah, my man right there. I mean, that's just, yeah, it's just ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Shape.
My father died at 46 of a heart attack. So I got to watch myself.
A 23-year veteran of the Detroit Police Department, Sergeant Adam Borkowski, has faced plenty of danger on the streets, but he says a personal battle with his own weight could have cost him his life.
I would work 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. So at the time when it's time to eat, wasn't much open.
Borkowski recalls as recently as 2000.
Now, let me chime in here real quick. Now, the shift you work can play a role, no question about it. The shift that you're working can play a role. But at the same time, if you're thinking properly, you understand that, okay, I'm working a terrible shift. I might work graveyard, as they call it, or the night shift. And I know going in there that there will be limited resources, healthy resources. So what do? If I'm thinking constructively, I would prep my food. I'm going to cook something during the week or during the day when I get home. I'm going to put it in some containers, put it in the refrigerator, so that when it comes time to go to work, I have healthy options. I just grab what I got in the refrigerator, put it in my lunchbox bag, whatever, take it to work, have it in your car if necessary, because there's some days where you're just going nonstop, call to call, and you can't get an official lunch break, but you'll have options next to you, healthy options, real options. And, I know it's not easy, but I think a lot of times people make a lot of excuses. And this, I think he said sergeant, I don't know what his rank was. His dad died at 46 years old from a heart attack. My goodness, what more motivation do you need? And I know it's not necessarily easy starting a fitness routine from scratch. I know it's not necessarily simple and easy, but I think that a lot of times that people make too many excuses of why they're in such poor health. Too many excuses of why they're in bad health. Oh man, my schedule. Oh man, the kids always have something going on. Oh, my wife is demanding over here. Man, when it's all said and done, if you're not taking control of your health, no one's going to do it for you. No one will do it for you. You have to be the one who takes those steps, who takes that initiative to get yourself right. Hey, Sean, good to see you, brother. Now, I'm glad you appreciate my content, man. I appreciate what you're doing, man. And you and your family are still in my prayers and on my heart. I want to let you know that. Lon, what you got? Hey, happy belated birthday too, bro. And he said, you're being nice. Well, I'm not trying to talk like crazy about the guy, these people. But man, it honestly, it is really, really bad. It is really, really bad, and it's really ridiculous. And man, I hope, like I said, I hope that this show can be an encouragement to people. But let's continue on with this video here.
2015, when long hours, difficult shifts, and a lack of exercise took a huge toll.
So we ate a lot of fast food, Coney Island. So my weight I started getting heavier and heavier.
Today, at 49, the 6'5" crime fighter is telling another story.
I lost 50 pounds over about 3.5 months. I started doing a Nutrisystem diet and doing cardiovascular every day.
Very good. Very good. Now, if I want to be a little critical, I mean, I'm glad he got his eating in check, and that he was doing cardiovascular conditioning on a regular basis. I would add personally that there needs to be some strength training. We'll get more into that as time goes on, but you just can't be cardio dominant. Most people think cardio is like the miracle drug that gets you completely healthy, but you also have to understand that law enforcement, that you have to subdue suspects. You come in contact with somebody who's uncooperative, you attempt to restrain him or place him into custody, and he fights you, and you can go all day because your cardio is great, but you don't have the strength to control someone. You got problems. You got tremendous problems. So weight training is just as important, and in some occasions, I would argue, even more important than simple cardiovascular conditioning. You can have a weight training workout that gets the heart rate up, that works you on a cardiovascular level. If anybody doubts that, try CrossFit. Try one CrossFit workout. That'll prove it to you. But you can do that. So I'm just throwing options out there. I'm just trying to be nitpicky. I'm trying to, not being nitpicky, I'm trying to be mindful of the fact that he is a law enforcement officer. And I'm addressing the lack of physical fitness for law enforcement officers. Cardio is great. It's good. It's good for your body, good for your heart, but you have to have strength. You have to have the ability to be able to control somebody. And on top of it, it makes you look good. I mean, everyone wants to look good. No one wants to look like crap. When you're wearing your uniform, if you're well built, you got muscle. And I don't even want to go into how that impacts your presence. Well, I'll go into it here shortly. So let's continue. Because I think one of the chiefs of police talks about it here in a few.
Fish, hardly any more red meat.
For a closer look inside a Warren police gym, we found cops working out.
At any point in any officer's career, they're going to need to use their fitness abilities at one point or another.
Deputy Commissioner Matt Nichols calls it a weight off his shoulder.
Unless you're one of those officers who avoids conflict, and they're out there. There are cops out there. I remember when I was going through the patrol academy, I had just done 10 years as a corrections officer at the Clark County Detention Center here in Las Vegas, 10 years. And I had a friend of mine who was going through the academy as well. And I think he had 5, maybe 7 years on the department as well when he transferred out to the streets. We did a use of force scenario, which is basically they wanted to see how we would respond if during a physical confrontation, the training staff. So they set up a role-playing event where you have to use force. You have to do some decision-making and have to use force. This good friend of mine loved him to death, but he was totally lost. He had no idea what to do. You got to remember, 7 years on the department, 5 to 7 years on the department as a corrections officer working in the county jail in Las Vegas. And he told me, I asked him, I was like, I said, I didn't want to put my man out there. Anyway, I asked him, had you never had a physical confrontation before? And he said, no. And I just looked at him with the weirdest look on my face, because it made me wonder, how in the world can you spend that much time in the jail where you deal with mentally ill suspects, violent suspects, murderers, sexual assault, sex offenders, thieves, robbers. You deal with all that. And you mean to tell me that in all that time, you never had a physical confrontation with anybody? I was just blown away. I was literally dumbfounded. But there are people who avoid conflict. There are people who avoid confrontations. Unfortunately, yep, they wear a badge, and they're the ones more than likely, or odds are they may ask, they may be responding to the calls where you are asking for help. There you go. I'm just calling it as it is. That's one thing no one can say about me is that I sugarcoat the reality of law enforcement. I do not. I tell it like it is. I was an officer. I spent 20 years in the industry, corrections and patrol. I was a trainer. I know how too many officers are. Too many officers could care less about taking care of their body, could care less about going to the range and practicing and fine-tuning their skills, could care less about knowing how to fight. They're too many. I'm not saying that there aren't officers out there who care about those things, but there are too many, considering the very nature of the job, who couldn't care less. All right, let's go.
Knowing his cops are policing themselves when it comes to staying in shape.
Just like athletes, you want to be at the top of your game. We deal with people all day long, and when you're on the street, you never know who you're going to encounter.
Compared with local agencies that can't enforce fitness standards, at the Detroit FBI, a physical test is actually required.
Working out makes your body better, but also makes your mind better.
Fitness coordinator Elizabeth Weiland says special agents are required to pass an annual fitness test or face serious consequences. Their fit test consists of 4 different events, including sit-ups, a 300-meter run, push-ups, and a 1.5-mile run.
We are given 3 hours per week for physical fitness.
A check of the Detroit Fire Department reveals they too are looking into a plan that encourages fitness, but currently have no program after the academy. The Detroit Police Chief says their fitness program launched in 2015. Now rewards top members with medals to be worn on their uniforms.
The way the public responds to you is very different when you're fit as opposed to not being fit.
Chief Craig.
He nailed it. He nailed it on the head. Let me tell y'all something. I'm not a little guy. Never have been all through my life. I'm not a giant, but I'm not a little guy. Right now, 6'2", I weigh about 228. I'm in pretty good shape right about now. I'm feeling pretty good. Hey, one of my old partners over here. What's up, brother? Yeah, man, I'm hoping. Hey, do me a favor, share this video, brother. All y'all do me a favor, share this. So maybe some of our coworkers who are still out there grinding, whether it's in the jail or on the streets, maybe they'll hear this and they'll get some encouragement. But yeah, man, it's pretty pathetic, to be honest with you. Hey, what's up, brother? You remember that the guy in the jail that never came out of the pods? Yeah, there were quite a few of them. They never wanted a confrontation ever. They stayed inside. Sad. But back to what this chief was saying. The chief nailed it. When a suspect, inmate, citizen sees you in your uniform, I don't care if you're a big dude or shorter guy or whatever, but if they see your uniform is squared away, you don't necessarily have to have the most highly spit shine boots, but when they see that you are physically fit, there's a different presence that you bring to that encounter, to that situation. The respect level from the public goes up. And if you get an idiot out there who's looking to maybe try to knock you out and that's a whole different topic that I plan on addressing as far as your ability to fight. I plan on doing a show about that, Lord willing. But when you come in front of these officers and you look good and you're wearing that uniform instead of that uniform wearing you, man, there's something to be said about that. These people look at you and if you're a good communicator, man, it goes a long way. And that idiot out there who might be trying to say, man, I could take this dude, he might think twice. He might think twice about that. I know for a fact that there were occasions where me arriving on the scene changed the mood of the call because I was always a bigger dude. I was a lot heavier when I was on patrol. I walked around about 260 on average. I worked out, I CrossFitted, not always, but I tried to maintain a pretty decent level of fitness while I was out there. Did martial arts training. Me and my man Billy over here in the chat, he could tell you. We always talked about that kind of stuff. But I tried to maintain a high level of fitness because when they called me, even in the jail is more of these, you're constantly being sized up because you're dealing with people who are locked up and they're constantly trying to figure out ways that they can take advantage of you. Some of my other CO buddies out there or listeners who worked in the prison system, you're talking on an even higher level when you're talking about the prison system. So you have to consistently deal with that reality. On the street, gangbangers, if you're on the block, if you're in the hood, you got to deal with all that. And how you look matters. I'm telling y'all, how you look matters. And it can make your job easier. It's the reality. It can make your job easier. So why would you put yourself in a position to make your job harder simply because you're lazy? Someone help me out with that. And if you have medical issues that limit what you can do physically, then maybe work a desk job somewhere or works in an office. But working on the streets or on the decks in the jail, where you come in, we have suspect or inmate contact or even public contact, to be honest with you, that's not good. That's not good at all. You need to find somewhere where you are actually able to be effective. And being a first responder ain't it.
Craig points to his precincts installing fitness centers, and recently one of his own command officers intervened on behalf of someone facing serious health risks.
The right kind of food costs money, so the command officer went in his own pocket and started him on the right kind of diet.
For Sergeant Borkowski, the rewards have had a profound impact on quality of life and his ability to serve his community.
A lot of people don't recognize me. They got to take a double take.
For a city-by-city comparison of physical fitness standards for first responders, just go to our website, wxyz.com. Simon Shakette, 7 Action News.
Wow.
We must be much more careful with our language.
What is this here? Yeah, y'all. It's real. It is what it is. It's there is such a reality to, there's such a danger, and that's what I really wanted to dig into the most, is that it's such a danger of being an officer and being in poor physical fitness. When you step back, and I'm going to check out some of the comments because I saw a couple of them went by and I wanted to address them because you guys are posting some good stuff right there. But not only this is my mindset. I'm big into motivation and inspiration. Like I love listening. When I'm working out, I don't necessarily listen to music. I'll put in some Jocko Willink and Les Brown, Eric Thomas, David Goggins, even with him cussing all the dang time. I'll listen to guys like that, especially if I'm getting ready to put myself through a tough workout. I listen to guys like that who kind of just tell it like it is. And some days where I feel like trying to be a wimp and wimping out, I need that extra kick in the pants. I think that, when I listen to a lot of these guys, these Les Browns, Jim Rohn, all these dudes, when I listen to some of these guys, one thing that I hear consistently from anyone who talks motivation and discipline and things like that, you'll hear the need to know your why. Identify your why. What do I mean by that? If there's an area that you're struggling in as far as being motivated or being disciplined, and we're seeing as how we're talking about physical fitness, let's get into that. If you know that you're 50 pounds overweight, you hadn't worked out in 10 years or whatever it is, never worked out maybe. But if you are a officer, you at least had to be in some physical shape while you went through the academy. Let's say it's been 10, 15 years. and you know that it is a good thing, and you know you need to start training, but you're having trouble getting that extra motivation, it's good to write down the reasons why you need to do it. And those reasons don't necessarily have to be all about the job. I think those can be supportive, but I think that if you were to look at, if you're struggling with in that area, I would say, man, if I continue down, I would write down the reasons why, 5 reasons why, or pains that I've gained from being lazy and not working out. And all the things that I potentially lost or could lose by not taking care of my health and fitness. I could die early, leave. Honestly, I would write these things down. Leave my family alone to have to take care of themselves without me being there, especially if you're a father, or husband, or wife. I could, and the grief that would come from that, I could, and also in relation to your job, I could not be able to respond physically when necessary. I might struggle getting up a few flights of stairs, or a suspect can get the advantage of me and potentially harm me, or even worse, kill me if I'm not in the shape I need to be in. And what about the citizen who needs you for their safety? They're calling you because of a potentially life or death matter, and you do nothing with it, and you're in too poor shape to fight off a bad guy. Or your partners. Your partners are there on these calls with you, or in the jail, or wherever, and you're in too poor shape to even offer any level of offense. And someone that you love or you care about tremendously could end up hurt or killed because you just didn't feel like getting up a little early and or going to the gym and working out for 30 minutes, an hour after you get done with work. I would put that on, I would write those things down and make it as real as possible so that I actually feel the emotions tied to that. The emotion of knowing that your kids may have to go on without you prematurely because of the fact that you didn't take care of yourself, your heart got clogged up, arteries got blocked, and therefore you're dead at an early age. Or you get your wig split on the job because you're sloppy. And I'm just calling it as it is. I don't mean any disrespect. But man, we got to remember that this is potentially a life or death. Law enforcement is a potentially life or death job. I know that there are at least 2 officers on in the chat right now, and I guarantee you that they've been in situations that have that had the potential where deadly force was necessary. I guarantee you that. I guarantee you that they drew their gun on multiple occasions to get somebody to chill out. Guarantee you that, because I know them and I know the areas that they worked. But yet you're going to go in there and give yourself, you're going to go in there with a disadvantage. That's just nuts, y'all. Seriously, that's just crazy. I really want people to hear this. Why would you do that? Why would you enter into this field and not do everything you can to be the best that you can be? It blows my mind. It truly, truly blows my mind. Let me check out some of the comments here, y'all. So true. Half your job is done if you look sharp, bro. My man, I'm telling you, that is so true. If you look the part, man, some of these dudes would be like, man, I ain't trying to mess with this dude. He looks like he might hurt somebody. I've had people tell me that. They respect that. They may not even like cops, but they respect the fact that, man, you take your position seriously. Okay, I'm gonna respect this dude. He's treating me decently. I'm gonna respect him. Or I feel like knocking this dude out, but he looks like he can take care of himself. He walks confident. He walks like he can handle his business. So maybe I'll wait until somebody else comes on. But this ain't the dude. That's real. That is real. Man, I could go on and on with that right there. You always speak the truth. I try, my man. I try. I know I'll be dealing with some controversial issues, man, but there are too many people who don't want to address a lot of these important issues in our society today. And this is just one of them, man. And I just get a lot of, I always talk about this, man, but I had a lot of people who would just get on me, man, because I was always such a stickler when it came to training. I was always a stickler. I ain't trying to be a jerk, but I understand the nature of the job. There were times in my career where I was kind of a lay down officer. As a CO early on, I mean, I did the bare minimum. I took care of myself, but I wasn't some hard charging dude. I wasn't some dude who was all about training. But I went through a class from Caliber Press talking about street survival. And this is one of the sparks that really ignited my desire to go out to the streets. Went to this street survival class. One of my old friends, he suggested the class. And man, I'm telling you that was that was an eye opener. It reminded me of how dangerous this job can be. It was a 2-day class, and it put me on a whole different path. Then I woke up. So I wasn't always like this, as I said a second ago, this hard charger. There were plenty of times where I just did what I had to do. Then I started training with I started going to the range on my own, started practicing with my gun, my firearm. Made sure that didn't go too long without doing some type of martial arts classes, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, judo, Muay Thai, boxing, whatever. I didn't go too long where I had breaks. Worked out, ran, lifted weights. And man, there's been more times than I care to count or I can remember where those abilities definitely helped me out and made my job easier. All right, my man. What's up, AD? What you got there? He says, being fit, uniform, squared away, and being a straightforward and clear communicator went a long way in my experience in the military. Absolutely, man. There's a ton of correlation, man, because I was a soldier in the Army and my law enforcement career. It sets a good leadership tone in most uniformed services. Absolutely. It's just, there's nothing left to say after that. You nailed it. It goes a long way, the way people view you. The respect level is huge. We have all, especially recently, seen videos of perpetrators purposely committing a crime right in front of an unfit officer because they knew they would not get caught in the chase. No doubt. How crazy is that? NWAC, Northwest Area Command, for those of y'all who don't know, that's one of the areas of patrol areas here in Las Vegas. Used to have a gym. Don't know why they took it out. They all did. I know downtown had one. They turned it into the community-oriented policing area, I think. And other areas, they did something similar along the lines. I know the jail had one. As far as I know, they still had one. Your presence alone always made my job easier. Your size, quiet confidence was always on point. Appreciate that, man. I remember one time, man, I don't know if you'll remember this, but you and I were on the first floor. I think we were over in the South Towers. I forget where we were. But you said, man, look at you, Muldrow. You could tell because I just started back boxing. And you said, man, I can tell by the way you walk that you're training. He said, just by the, I'm talking to Billy. You said, man, I can tell just by the way you walk that you're training. He said, man, because you're walking with more confidence. And there's something about that. I would tell people, like, and I mentioned my brothers, and I don't say this as an insult to them, but some days I feel like, man, we came from, like I was adopted or something like that, honestly, because my mindset is just so different compared to theirs when it comes to the area of being able to take care of yourself physically and hard charging and motivation and things like that. My mind is just different. I'm not saying I'm better by any stretch of the imagination, but I've always been into physical fitness as a small child. And then when I got into high school, my dad let me start taking karate classes. Man, everything changed because I went from being a scared kid, kids be trying to talk crazy to me. I was a big kid, but I didn't know how to fight. So I was intimidated a lot of times. But then I went from being the scared kid to this confident kid who knew that maybe not, I wasn't good on the ground back then, but I knew I could take care of myself in a stand-up fight. I knew I could. And it just did so much for me. And it's difficult to see for me. And I know everyone's wired differently. I get that. But it's difficult for me to see a grown man, whether you're in a law enforcement field or not. It's hard for me to see a grown man who, especially a husband or a father, who isn't trying to take steps to at least take care of themselves physically. It's tough, especially seeing the world that we're living in these days, with a world that's growing increasingly violent, increasingly hateful, especially for a lot of folks that are on here who share a biblical worldview that, like I do, knowing how the world is growing increasingly hateful towards us. And on top of it, back to the primary topic, growing increasingly hateful towards law enforcement, it blows my mind how so many men, in particularly men, I'm talking to the fellas out there, so many of us out there aren't doing everything we can to be that protector, protect that home. Somebody acts a fool in front of me, my family, oh no. Oh no. And you know the cool thing about it? They know it. The missus, my kids, they know that dad can take care of himself. And I love that. I love that. I let them know dad can't whoop everybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I obviously, I ain't trying to be fighting no John Jones. I bust a cap in his behind. He tried to do something stupid with me. So I try to maintain my skill set depending on the situation. But against the average everyday dude, I'm good. Even the above average everyday dude, I'm good. If I have to run for my life, if I have to pick up my kids or somebody, and if we gotta get over a wall, they know Pops is over here gonna be hauling because I'm still lifting heavy because I want to maintain that soft tissue strength and that bone structure. I don't want to be old and brittle, fall over and break my hip when I'm 60 years old. I don't want that. So I'm squatting, deadlifting, doing all that. I read some studies that all that is beneficial as we get older. There's some people who have reversed osteoporosis by strength training, heavier strength training. So let me encourage y'all out there. Again, like I said, I want this video to be goal-oriented. And I'm about to show a couple more videos, y'all. I'm sorry, I get on this little tirade here, get on my little rant. And I want this video to be goal-oriented, but I have to show a few videos that I have lined up to talk about, to show what it is that I'm talking about. But I want to implore all y'all out there, law enforcement or not, to do what you can to get your physical fitness up. Do what you can do. There's something you can do. Anyway, all right. Let me share another video because I could go on and on this topic here. Here's one that I made a video of a few years ago. And this was just tragic event, but look at the bodies of the officers involved. Make this full screen. Let me set the table a bit for y'all. This was an event that took place a few years ago in Peachtree County, Georgia, but where the main offender, Stanley Elrod Jr., had made threats to a neighbor, the kids, because they were riding their dirt bikes and four-wheelers up and down the road, and they were making a lot of noise. So he basically threatened to kill him. So the neighbor calls, the cops show up. They're going to confront Stanley Elrod. They don't show the full event, but you'll hear me talking over, giving a little voiceover, giving a little explanation as to what exactly went down. This is the cops arriving on the scene. Look at the first officer in particular as he gets out of the vehicle. Look at that. No disrespect, but look at his body. Honestly, look at him. All due respect, that makes no sense whatsoever. 0 sense whatsoever for him to be a first responder. But let's let the video proceed.
Tell me what's going on with your neighbors. Man, I've had multiple complaints with these people over here.
Now remember, this guy had just threatened to shoot some kids. So you have a guy, and I think he flashed a firearm, if I recall correctly. We can go all day about their tactics, because in my full video, it's called Cops Murdered. If you want to check it out on my YouTube channel, Code Red Conversations. But if you just look at let's not even focus so much on the tactics. I mean, but I look at that hand in the pocket. It just drives me nuts. But you got a gun call, and you look at their physical fitness, because that's where we're emphasizing on. Lord knows I can get sidetracked when it comes to tactics. But just look at I'm just going to let this play. Just watch.
And I'm sure y'all had the first time. This is the first complaint I've heard about it. Okay, and the problem is that you took what you felt was your authority out in the road. No, and you told that man. You told that man that you're gonna kill him. No. Well, I'm just telling you, I can't. They had a video going, and that's terrible for you. Yeah, it's terrible for you. Yeah, I do. But y'all won't do anything. He's running a business over here. He's not paying taxes. Y'all won't do anything about it. I've already been to the marshal about it. Jimmy won't do anything about it. For the last 10, 11 months, man, it ain't been nothing but pure hell in this fucking neighborhood because of him. Where's your gun at? What difference does that make? No, you don't. Well, just so you know, you're under arrest. Okay? No, yes, you are.
It was at this moment when Stanley Elrod killed Deputies Smallwood and Sondran. Gunned them down, both of them, after additional units arrive on the scene. He put on all his tactical gear, got his ARs, and look at him. Oh, goddamn! Sniper rifle. He got hit. I think he got hit in the body armor, though. That body shot in the body armor took him out. Didn't kill him. Crazy, y'all. Yeah, man, dude. Yeah, dude was just not. These guys were just not prepared for what they faced. They were not prepared for it. And sadly, it cost them their lives. It cost them their lives because they were just in poor shape. I'm not saying that was the only factor, but as mentioned earlier in the comments, your physical fitness impacts your reaction time. And if you're that out of shape and you can't respond quickly and detain that suspect, place him in custody. Yeah, brother. Exactly. Impacts your reaction time tremendously. And here's a prime example. But let me share with you at least one more video that I think will also be helpful in this conversation. All right, there's a couple more that I plan on sharing, but here's one from Instagram. Whoops. I'm about to rewind this one, y'all. Hold up. Yeah, let me rewind this video here. Give you some volume.
So this is happening. Literally.
Look at this. 3 officers.
Oh my gosh. He better stop. He's gonna run up on the highway and cause an accident.
Look at him, gotta walk. He's walking too.
Someone needs to. He's gonna get up on that highway. Watch. He better not get up there.
Look at him, little hill, little run,
Look,
and they couldn't get my
on the
man.
fucking highway. Oh.
Embarrassing.
So this is
Embarrassing. Just, I mean, what else do you say behind that? What else do you say? It's yeah, Miss Paula. It's so sad. It's so sad. I believe that physical fitness is not a prerequisite. It should be mandatory. It should be something that is necessary. I mentioned earlier that I was trying to, before I retired, I was trying to start a physical fitness program for the department here in Las Vegas. And man, the pushback that I got, people constantly talking about the union arguing and lawsuits. And I'm like, lawsuits? Man, I'm trying to save y'all's lives, man. I'm trying to help you guys get a better quality of life. But somebody would always be upset. Somebody would always be bothered by it, be angry. Like it's not important. I guess not. But, and then my mindset was, okay, put some incentive, make it incentive based. Get with the community vendors. And I know you could have had this. I know this would have worked. Get with some community vendors that would offer free dinners or rewards, even financial rewards. Have a badge for those officers who get a certain level of who reach and maintain a certain level of physical fitness. Give them some time, give them days off. There's so many things that you can do to, if you're not going to make it mandatory, there's so many things that a department could do where guys would be like, yeah, let me do what I got to do to stay healthy. Make it to where you get extra points on promotion or a transfer. If you're trying to transfer over to a different section, if you score high, let's say it was bronze, silver, and gold medals or badges, physical fitness badges that you wore, depending on your physical fitness level. If you got a certain amount of points for depending on what level you achieved when you tested, if you want to test for SWAT or homicide or intel or wherever you wanted to go, you got points because you were physically, that was an extra incentive, man. But again, like pulling teeth. What you got here, Benjamin? You said, I had a dude on my squad for a few months who was obese. I never got into so many fights with any other cop. Right. Crooks would look him up and down and try him. Got to a point where I got completely tired of responding to calls with him because it was high likelihood. It was a high likelihood I'd have to do a use of force report and do the majority of the physical work. Yeah, man, I'm with you. That's not even, I wouldn't even say LOL, man. That's just sad, honestly. That's just sad. And on the side, I've been on calls where dudes just have bad attitude. And then you're on calls with them, and every time you turn around, you're having to get physical because they don't know how to communicate with people. So you have that on all, a variety of factors. But again, man, it doesn't make any sense for anyone to take any level of pride in themselves and say that you're a cop. There was one CO, and the guys listening in who worked at the county jail probably know who I'm talking about. If you were in any length of time, he was so overweight and so obese, and I'm not just talking about a little overweight. He was so obese. I heard there was a time where he fell down in the unit, and he had to literally crawl on all fours to the officer station because he was too big to get up on his own. But yet, you're going to go there and you're going to be my backup officer or someone else's backup officer. Man, screw that. Well said, Lon. Ill-equipped by choice. There's no other excuse. No other excuse. Good for you. Very understandable. Definitely. I'm glad he rolled out. Larry, you probably know what I'm talking about. That's why you're doing the LOL. Yeah, it started with a D, and I think you know where I'm going now. I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyway, all right, I got some more content to share with y'all. Man, I appreciate y'all joining in. We're gonna have a lot of fun. We understand that these topics are very serious, but I appreciate the fact that we're having a little bit of fun in the process too. Is this it? Oh. And as I mentioned, physical fitness, it's not solely a matter of being obese either, and physical strength. So let me make that abundantly clear. And here's a prime example of that. I got to rewind this one all the way to the beginning because you have to see this one. And this might spark a whole different conversation, but I think but I'm going to go there if y'all want to talk about it. Let me get some volume here.
Missed all of this. I just saw some shit go down.
Look at the Miss Taser there. Frustrating to watch. Okay, I think that's enough right there. I think we get the picture. Dude, that one officer is literally in the mix, scrapping with this guy who is probably somewhat mentally off. Because he's talking about they killed my family. So there might be some mental health issues going on there. I'm just guessing. But if that was me, I'm in the mix. I'm over here rolling around with this dude trying to subdue him, trying to restrain him, cuff him. And all you're trying to do is drive stun this guy. Someone help me understand that. And she was small female. So you're already at a physical disadvantage. So I know I've been focusing primarily on the fitness level of someone who's obese and who's overweight. But my honest opinion is if you're in this field and you're small, whether male or female, you better do everything in your ability, in your power, to try to shore up that gap, try to be as strong as you possibly can, be as well conditioned as you possibly can, and you better have some tactics, defensive tactics, to back up that physical disadvantage that you naturally come into the encounter with. You better you better be practicing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. You better be crossfitting. You better be lifting heavy weights. You better be running. I'm serious. Because if I'm going to be relying on you as to back me up, when I'm doing all that at 6'2", dang near 230 pounds, if I'm doing all that, that's the least you can do. You had better do that and more. That's my opinion. What y'all? Yeah, Larry, I knew. Yeah, totally useless. And I'm sure I've been on calls just like that. And we actually had to have I actually had to have a conversation with my partner at the time. And there have been times in the jail. I remember we went on what is known as a legal 2000. A legal 2000 is when someone is in a mental health crisis and their family or someone along those lines, somebody that knows them, wants to have them mentally committed for a mental evaluation over a few days. And I remember going on a call and they gave a description of the suspect. Dude was like 6 feet tall, 260 pounds. And they were going to partner me up with this female officer. And I got no problem with working with women, none whatsoever. But she was 5'3", maybe 115 pounds. And this dude was like twice her size and bigger than me at the time. So I remember I said it right in front of her. I said, all due respect, Sarge, can I get another officer? And I looked at her and I said, no disrespect, man, but I want somebody who's bigger. If I have to scrap and roll with this dude, I want somebody who's going to be able to throw down and who's going to be able to help me out physically. And she went in with a physical disadvantage. So, that's just my take on it. That's just my take on it. All right, let's, excuse me, y'all. All right, let's move on. Share one more video. Here we go. I wish you can have a few more videos lined up. I think I can only do 2 at a time here on StreamYard. But I wish I could have a few more videos lined up, make things a whole lot easier. Oh, this is so good. Now, this is on the other side. This is on the other side. This is someone who, well, I don't want to give it away. You got to see the video. I think you'll definitely appreciate it. Get rid of all these little pop-ups here. I think y'all will appreciate this one. And just listen to you just got to listen to it. Let me make this full screen here.
Wednesday as a guy selling stuff out of the trunk of the car. So we thought it was a little suspicious. Already working another call, they ran the plate and the car came back stolen. When they returned, it was gone. But later, Parker spotted it again on I-95. And once again, car came back stolen. I called for our aviation unit, which is called Foxtrot, because it's a lot safer to have the helicopter pursue the car than have ground units pursue the car. Foxtrot was dispatched, relaying information to Parker. Still in pursuit, Parker can be seen hanging well back as the stolen Dodge Charger speeds into Baltimore. Chopper 13 followed as the car tried to squeeze between 2 other cars at a stoplight. It didn't work. The suspect bailed, and the foot chase was on. He did have a good lead ahead of me. I don't know if I surprised him. I kind of this had to be done. He had to be caught, and I was actually surprised at how fast I was running, to be honest with you, when I looked at the video from the outside. Dominic Edward was outrun by Parker, who runs 6 miles every other day. He also came up against a Baltimore police officer who takes his job seriously. If you don't do the job 100%, don't do the job at all. Dominic Edward was charged with possession of a stolen
I gotta rewind that.
and
I gotta rewind that. I love that.
violations. I was actually surprised that we caught, and I was actually surprised at how fast I was running, to be honest with you, when I looked at the video from the outside. Dominic Edward was outrun by Parker, who runs 6 miles every other day. He also came up against a Baltimore police officer who takes his job seriously. If you don't do the job 100%, don't do the job.
Boom. Boom. That's it. If you don't do the job, if you're not going to do the job 100%, then don't do it. My man runs 6 miles every other day. Who's going to outrun him? Honestly. Who's going to outrun my man? His mindset is just how it should be. Take care of yourself. Be ready for the job. He's working Baltimore, so I almost guarantee you he takes care of. He's maintaining, well, clearly a high level of physical fitness by running, And he understands, because you're talking Baltimore with a crime rate that's astronomical, that is simply astronomical. And my man takes that very seriously. And there are cops all over this country. Some cops working in Chicago right now that had for their breakfast was like a 12 pack of donuts and washed down with a freaking slushy from 7-Eleven. It just boggles my mind. But his mindset is the way it should be. If you're going to go into this field, you need to maintain a high level of fitness. That's just how it is. Sucks, but that's the job. Don't like it? Find some other place to work, honestly. And that's not a knock, because not everybody is geared up to work in law enforcement. Doesn't make us better. Current or former law enforcement, we ain't better than anybody, but we just have a passion for the field. I knew even when I was in the Army, I initially wanted to go in as military police, but I would have had to wait like an additional 6 months or to a year in order to sign up as an MP or military police. So I didn't want to wait that long. I wanted to get basic training over with. So I just went ahead and became a medic, which I'm thankful for, because that definitely helped me in throughout the course of my career. After having attended EMT school on top of the Army's combat medic course, so that there's some skill sets, there's some things that I still remember to this day. So it was definitely beneficial in the long term. I remember on multiple occasions using my medical knowledge to help citizens, to help inmates, to help suspects in various occasions. People just got gunned down, shot up. I was able to help them because of that medical training. But I always wanted to be police. It took me a while to get there, but when I finally got out there, I knew that was where I needed to be. I knew that's where I wanted to be. And some people it's not for everyone. It just is not for everyone. And that, again, that doesn't make any cop, any CO, or anyone in that field better. We just have a different way we function, and we think a little differently, and we want to do that job. But for those who aren't willing to take those steps to be that guy, then again, find something else. Let's look at some additional comments. I never understood women, especially small, being in any line of duty. They're the weaker vessel as God made them. Amen. For a reason. I hate seeing women officers being beat silly. Yeah. I'm thankful that it doesn't happen as much as it could, because overall people do act right, and they do have some equalizers, guns, even though I had that recent video that, even though we don't see the body cam footage in Chicago or in Illinois, where those two officers were shot, one is in critical condition, the other was killed, and she was the suspect physically removed her gun. He just took it from her. And I had another video where I talk about use of force. I can't recall the topic, but I have another video that I did on my Code Red Conversation channel. Check it out. Check out some of my content if you haven't done so already, where I'm addressing the reality of the physical disadvantage that some people have when dealing with suspects. And my man he is coming after the officer, wrestles her down to the ground. She pulls out her gun, and he just pulls it right out of her hand. And then she takes off running, and he's shooting at her. Thankfully, her backup arrived and took the suspect down. But there's another occasion where the physical differences were just too great. And I don't even want to, and that can lead me down a whole other topic, because when we're dealing with this whole trans issue, when it comes to trans athletes, and some people actually trying to make it out to where it doesn't really matter. It absolutely does, because men and women are different. As unpopular as that may be these days, men and women are built differently, period. This also includes no drugs and alcohol limited. Not a need to get drunk every time. I knew a few growing up that used the excuses of the stress of the job to get wasted almost every night. Yeah, but that's just straight up nonsense to me. I know, and trust me, I know there's some dudes that drink, some guys that I worked with drank all the time. And it showed. It showed in their home life and in a lot of issues that their drunkenness brought to the job. And honestly, man, I'm so thankful that I know the Lord and I knew him a good portion of my career, because even though the job could be stressful, and there's some days I went home and I was worn out. You talk someone down from trying to kill themselves or pull someone down or looking for a felony suspect, you're hunting a bad guy, a robbery suspect or a homicide suspect. There's some days in my job I was worn out when I got home. And going to the bottle, that was just never my thing. Man, I go home, I talk to the family or just eat and relax and chill out and read something, play a video game, and I would just get my mind off of something. But turning to the drugs or alcohol, by the grace of God, that was never my issue. That was never my thing. So lastly, so what do we do? So what do we do in situations like this? How do we rectify this? I'd love to know what y'all think. What would you do what advice would you give someone who is a current officer who desires to, he's out of shape, he or she's out of shape, or you have a female officer who's just not strong, she's weak, or a male officer little and weak? What advice would you give to encourage them? I already know what I would tell them. I already know what I would say. But I'd love to know what y'all want to tell them. What y'all would tell them, what advice you would give them. Because I think we've made it very clear based on the few videos that I've shown that it's absolutely of first importance. One of the highest priorities. Know your laws. Be able to de-escalate, have good communication skills, be good with your defensive tactics, be physically fit. I would say those are know how to use your tactics that involves weapons. I think those are the most important factors when it comes to being an officer. Failing to prepare is preparing to fail, 100%. So what I would say is start small. If you are obese, don't try to go and join your CrossFit gym tomorrow. Or if you have no physical fitness background other than maybe the 6 months or however long you were in the academy and you hadn't trained in 10 years, you don't want to try to turn around and run a marathon the next day. I would say start small, start walking, concentrate on changing your diet, change what it is that you're putting in your mouth. Me, I am all about the keto lifestyle, the high fat, especially the healthy keto lifestyle, high healthy fats, moderate protein, low carb diet. That diet has absolutely transformed my health, me and my family, transformed our health. So that would be my suggestion. Focus on what you're consuming every day. Or at the very least, if you're not going to go that route, cut down on your carbohydrate intake. Cut your carb intake. Eat healthy fats. Eat your vegetables. Get some fruits in there. Don't overdo it on the fruits. Some people eat so much fruit that they're more fruitarians or whatever, and it can still be put on fat. I know a lot of vegetarians that eat so much fruit and bread and pasta that they're more carbitarians than they are vegetarians. So I would say watch what you eat, start getting physically active, start by walking, and do a little bit of strength training, some calisthenics, push-ups, sit-ups, air squats, lunges, simple things like that. And just do a few sets to begin with, maybe Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Simple baseline right there. Make sure you get checked, obviously, before you get checked by your doctor, obviously, before you start any kind of physical fitness program. Make sure that you're healthy enough to do that. And then start focusing in on the few aspects that I mentioned. Start small, But have the mindset that I need to, and based on this job, I need to be able to sprint. I need to be able to wrestle and grapple with an offender. So I need to eventually build up a high level of strength, I believe. And your cardio can't just be walking. So it needs to be something on a little bit on a higher level. Once again, dependent on your physical level. But if you are a cop and you can't build up to running or build up to doing some level of sprinting or some high intensity intervals on occasion, and you're in that field and you're actually out there on the beat and dealing with suspects, that's not good. That's not good. Your fitness needs to be on that level. So there's one author here. He's a former Navy SEAL. And this is one example of a book that is by Stu Smith. And you can find him on YouTube if you look up Stu Smith. He has programs for special operators. And in special operations, you're talking about on an extremely high level of fitness. So maybe that'll be something down the road you wouldn't mind doing. But we're talking starting off, what would be a good idea? I would say that in the world we're living in now, with YouTube and all the different information we have available on the internet, there's no excuse for the beginner to be able to find a program for free or very low cost, very low money, and start doing something physical. Start doing something. You can get simple pieces of equipment. You can get them at garage sales. You can wherever. You can find simple equipment. You can get a gym membership for $10 a month in some spots. So honestly, there's really no excuse for getting in shape. None whatsoever. Do jujitsu, absolutely. And I would say this, that find a good jujitsu school, because not all jujitsu schools are built the same. I've been in some schools where they just throw you into the fire and they're basically setting you up for injuries. You have no skill, none whatsoever. You're in there trying to muscle your way around, and all you're doing is setting yourself up for injury. Find a school that has a beginner program where they teach basic techniques, and then you build on from there. Basics, build from there. You may not start rolling or grappling, as they call it, where you're actually physically sparring with somebody, until weeks away. You're learning technique. You're learning how to move your body. You're getting your body built up. So not all jujitsu schools are built the same. Not all martial arts schools in general are built the same. So I would say if you're going to go the martial arts path, just make sure you find a good school. Ask them if they have a beginner program, because some people just throw you into the fire and before you know it, you're injured and you're no good to anybody. But I agree with that idea tremendously. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely look into jiu-jitsu. For the sake of your life, your partner's life, and those who you signed up to protect, seek to get into shape by changing your entire lifestyle day by day and enable yourself with self-defense tactics. That's it. It's a daily routine, or at the very least, and the overall health, what you consume on a daily basis absolutely matters. You don't have to be 100% strict with it. I would say personally, depending on how poor of health, depending on how bad a shape you're in, you need to be as strict as possible. That's my opinion. When I was walking around 50 plus 60 pounds overweight a few years ago, after I retired, and I finally got fed up, man, I got obsessed. I got obsessed with the transformation. I got obsessed with changing my body. So when I was so obsessed with it that I had a dude, after about 2 or 3 months of training and watching what I eat, I had a dude walk up to me in the gym and say, man, I had to do a double take. I barely even recognized you. I barely even recognized you. And he would see me. He worked at the gym. He would see me come in early in the morning, get on the stairs for 30, 45 minutes, working hard, grinding away. But this is what was jacking me up, what I was putting in my mouth on a daily basis. And once I got that in check, everything changed. I'm 51, about to be 52 here in March, as I said before, with a six-pack. No lie. My weight under 230 pounds, were the majority of my career, I was 240 to 265. Retired. And man, I'm telling you, once I got that eating down, my whole body transformed. 51 years old. I ain't trying to sit up there and toot my own horn, but man, I grind. I go to the gym and I work my butt off. I work my butt off. Today in the gym with my daughter, her mindset is transformed as far as taking care of herself. She's lost about 60 pounds. She was very heavy about 2 years ago, got real committed to eating properly. When we went on strict healthy keto, shout out to Dr. Berg. If you're not familiar with him, check out Dr. Berg on YouTube. He has a great nutrition plan program. Totally changed everything. Totally changed my health. And when I decided I was going to go strict keto, I didn't play around. I got serious with it, committed, never cheated. And that was 2 years ago. 2 years, never cheated, not one day. I've had the occasional snack here and there, but the way it feels now, my body rejects it. My body can't tolerate any nonsense. Very low carb diet, personally, that works best for me. And like I said, it was a radical transformation physically. I've had people walk up to me like, man, Muldrow, I've never seen you look this fit before. Now, I know there have been times in my life where I was more fit, but I think I have a good, well-rounded level of fitness right now between the running I do. I run twice a week because I have some runs I want to do. I have some fitness goals this year. I want to get some mud runs in that I've been promising myself to do for years. And my goal is to do a half marathon by the end of the year. So I'm trying to build up slowly, build up my aerobic base, my cardiovascular capacity, my ability to tolerate a longer run. That's my goal. I want to be able to deadlift over 400 pounds, bench press. I got certain physical fitness goals. I don't want to just be a cardio dude. And then I want to get back into consistently doing martial arts. And, but yeah, that's another thing. Some people have some other ideas. Krav Maga, Wing Chun. Wing Chun, I'm not too big a fan of personally, but Krav Maga, with its self-defense tactics and techniques and high emphasis on physical fitness, I agree with you 100%. 100%. I'm not saying Wing Chun isn't effective, but I know that's Bruce Lee's base. What you got here, Lon? Start small, but start. I agree 100%. If you're obese, don't take it lightly when it comes to your nutrition. But when it comes to the physical activity, start small. Here's another example. My brother, and I'll bring them up all the time, he was really focused on wanting to change his body just a few months ago, 2 months ago. And he wanted to sign up with this boot camp and start doing all this stuff. And I just told him, I said, dude, you have decades of your life where you haven't been physically active. Doing an hour and a half or an hour in high intensity boot camp is not the path you need to go down. I said, start small, start walking 3 to 5 times a day or times a week, whatever you can tolerate, and start doing some calisthenics. Do a few push-ups, do 20 push-ups, do 20 air squats today. And then the next day I was like, then you can walk. Then the next day, do some more body weight work or they have these things like little jungle gym rigs or TRX where you can do some pull-ups and work and get it. And I said, you can come here, man, in my garage. I got all kinds of dumbbells. You can come here, you get some dumbbells, some weights. You start working small. You walk, you do a few calisthenics, a few push-ups, a few sit-ups. Nah, man, I got to do it like David Goggins. I got to be obsessive with it. But David's a different kind of cat. You're not David Goggins. I ain't even David Goggins. Start small, build yourself up. Well, that lasted all of a month. He never signed up with the boot camp and still struggling. Lon, you nailed it. Start small. Put yourself in a position where you can have small victories. Small victories. And then you'll be less likely to quit. They need to give free kale and carrots to law enforcement instead of donuts. I agree. What else we got here? Kathy Nunez, thank you for giving keto a shout out. It definitely helps tremendously. Tremendously. I really would encourage folks to go to check out Dr. Berry, Berry on YouTube, Dr. Berg, Berg on YouTube. There's another Dr. Eckberg. I think it's ECKBERG. I don't know what these B's and Bergs got going on when it comes to keto. But those are the guys that I go to and I listen. I get my keto advice from. And they talk about overall health, not just keto. Dr. Eckberg, Dr. Berry was a family practitioner for years, and he is 100% keto, and he talks the carnivore diet. Now, I'm not big on the whole carnivore personally, but I know it's been helpful to some people. But the things I've learned about nutrition, especially from Dr. Berg, and I've always been into health, but I thought I understood health and nutrition and fitness. I was way off. Let's do the world's strongest man. You can have that, brother. Us civilians just give junk food to cops so we can outrun y'all. Hey, it's working. That's a tactic that's working. Kathy, keto for sure. Total life changer. Dr. Berry only because he doesn't sell supplements. Very true. He believes in a proper human diet. And Dr. Sewes, I don't know how you pronounce it. Yeah, I haven't heard about him. I'm about to check him out. Thank you for that. Thank you. But yeah, folks, I definitely appreciate y'all stepping in and joining in on the conversation. Once again, this isn't meant to make fun of anybody out there. I had a few more videos keyed up, but I got to running off at the mouth. And y'all know how I get when I'm talking about these topics, especially when it comes to tactics and policing and cops being the best cop they can possibly be. Man, that's near and dear to my heart. That is near and dear to my heart, man, because I love the job. And there's a lot of brothers and sisters out there, current and former, who I know who were committed to doing the job to the best of their ability. And I started Cobra Conversations because of all the media distortions and lies that were out there. And also I wanted to be an encouragement for cops to be better. I want to talk about the reality of police brutality, the fact that it does happen, and what can we those of us in the law enforcement field, former or current, do to minimize that when it comes to our decision making. I want to address the fact that the media oftentimes distorts a lot of the information on policing. I want to address all of these issues, be well run. I want Code Red Conversations to be a tool to help people on every aspect when it comes to the issues of law enforcement. So once again, I appreciate y'all joining me today. It's the weekend. I have a couple of videos that I'm going to be posting this weekend that should be going not live, but a couple of videos where I took little segments of previous live videos and added a bit to it. So I should have one going up tomorrow that addresses the media bias. And I think y'all will appreciate that. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you go over to my YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button and that notification bell so you never miss out on any of my new content. A lot of people who have subscribed somehow found themselves unsubscribed. So if you already did, if you could do me a favor, go back and double check. I would greatly appreciate it. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Lord willing, I will see you on Monday for the new batch of shows. And as always, stay safe. God bless. And make sure you join the conversation. All right. I'm trying to get my videos up here. There we go.